The forest of Rajagaya breathed gently in the warm air, its leaves murmuring secrets to those who listened closely. Disciples surrounded the Buddha beneath the sprawling banyan tree, their minds restless despite the serenity enveloping them. "Master," Sona began, bowing low, "grief consumes me. My heart feels torn apart by the loss of my beloved child." Buddha observed Sona for a moment, his gaze steady and filled with infinite compassion. Before speaking gently and calmly, "Sona, life brings joys and sorrows. It is the nature of existence. None escape the duality of human experience." Sona fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face, clutching at the hem of Buddha's saffron robes, begging for guidance. Buddha placed his hand lightly on Sona's shoulder and said, "Let me teach you the truth of suffering. Imagine, Sona, a man struck by an arrow, sharp and relentless. Does he not cry out in agony immediately?" Sona nodded weakly and whispered, "Yes, Master. Pain of the first arrow is impossible to ignore. It cuts deeply into life." "And what?" Buddha continued. "If another arrow struck him in the same wound, doubling his suffering, would the agony not increase?" "The agony would be unbearable," Sona admitted, his voice heavy with the weight of understanding Buddha's metaphor of the arrows. "The first arrow is pain. It is inevitable, arising from illness, aging, and loss," Buddha said, his voice clear yet profound. Buddha paused and added, "The second arrow is optional. It is the suffering we create through resistance, anger, and clinging attachments. Master, they show my errors, my inadequacies. They remind me of wounds I dare not relive, of failings I resist. Allow pain to arise and pass without judgment. Resisting pain only strengthens suffering and chains the mind to relentless struggle." Buddha continued, "Mindfulness is the path. Observe thoughts and sensations without judgment, neither clinging to nor pushing them away. Pain is like a cloud drifting across the sky. It moves and changes, never staying still, impermanent in its nature." Sona nodded. His breathing deepened as he tried to grasp the wisdom Buddha shared. Seeking peace amidst his relentless grief, Buddha guided his disciples in mindful breathing practices, saying, "Breathe deeply and focus solely on the movement of air entering, leaving. Breathe in to acknowledge pain, and breathe out to release suffering. Let your breath serve as your anchor to the present. Feel the body, its sensations, its aches. Do not judge these feelings, but observe them as a witness to their impermanence." Sona closed his eyes, following Buddha's instructions, his mind beginning to settle, like water once disturbed returning to stillness. "You are not your pain. Pain is but a visitor, coming and going, never defining the essence of your existence." Sona inhaled deeply, feeling the tension in his chest easing, a calmness spreading through him as he embraced Buddha's teaching. Buddha smiled faintly and said, "When you cease firing the second arrow, you will find the space for peace within. Release attachments to what has been lost. Pain speaks of impermanence. Suffering diminishes when we accept this truth fully." Sona bowed deeply before Buddha, gratitude radiating from his heart as he absorbed the wisdom imparted to him and others. Buddha looked upon his disciples and said, "This teaching is universal. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is a choice we each make." The disciples bowed their heads reverently, knowing each word spoken was like sunlight reaching the depths of their own minds. Ananda's mind felt slightly more at peace, although shadows of fear remained lingering in unseen corners. Buddha said, "In life, you will encounter pain, but remember your response defines your experience. Choose acceptance and let go of resistance." Sona sat in quiet reflection, the weight of loss gradually easing, replaced by the beginning of clarity and inner strength. Buddha raised his hand and said, "This moment is a gift. The path to freedom begins when we stop resisting impermanence." Sona returned to his seat among the disciples, his heart lighter, his mind quieter, carrying Buddha's wisdom like a treasured jewel. With the banyan tree sheltering them, Buddha's teachings resonated like ripples across still waters, reaching far into the lives of all. Another day, another moment of learning. Buddha walked along the riverbank as his disciples followed in quiet reverence. The river flowed steadily, its currents changing with the seasons, carrying with it the essence of impermanence itself. Buddha stopped and pointed to the flowing water, his voice calm, saying, "The river holds lessons for those seeking wisdom." Among the disciples was a fisherman named Ananda, struggling with his thoughts, consumed by frustration over life's unpredictable challenges. Ananda approached Buddha, his voice heavy with anguish, saying, "Master, this river takes my catch and leaves me with despair." Buddha observed Ananda's furrowed brow and spoke gently, "Good man, why do you cling to what the river cannot give?" The disciples gathered closer, intrigued by the exchange as Buddha sat beside Ananda, drawing circles in the soft earth. "This river is life itself," Buddha said. "It moves, changes, and flows. It cannot be held or controlled by anyone." Ananda sighed, still gripped by frustration. "But, Master, if I cannot control the river, how can I find sustenance?" Buddha pointed to the rippling water and said, "Consider this: clinging to what is impermanent creates suffering, like grasping water with hands. Observe the river's flow," Buddha continued. "It rises and falls, it shifts its course. Such is the nature of existence." Ananda stared at the water, slowly beginning to see the metaphor in Buddha's words, feeling the rhythm of impermanence. "Pain arises," Buddha said, "when we resist the truth of impermanence, wanting life to remain static and unchanged." Buddha turned to the disciples and added, "Consider suffering as you do this river. See it not as permanent, but flowing." Ananda asked, "Master, how do we live without clinging to the impermanent when it seems to bring comfort and stability?" Buddha nodded and replied, "Mindfulness allows us to witness the changing nature of life without attaching ourselves to its currents. Through mindfulness, you will see that everything, including suffering, is transient, flowing and passing like this river's gentle stream." Buddha guided his disciples to meditate on impermanence, asking them to focus on the breath, as life flowed with it. "Breathe deeply," Buddha instructed, "and feel the rhythm of change, letting thoughts drift like leaves carried by the river's surface. Let your breath anchor you in the present. See how impermanence dances through each breath, each moment of life's flow." Ananda followed Buddha's guidance, feeling his frustrations soften, as his mind began to let go of his clinging and resistance. Buddha continued, "Impermanence is not an enemy. It is a teacher, showing us the beauty and wisdom of life's movement. The river does not lament its loss. It flows forward. So must we let go and embrace the flow of change." The disciples sat in meditation, absorbing Buddha's teachings, their hearts becoming lighter as they accepted the truth of impermanence. Ananda opened his eyes, the tension in his body easing, seeing the river with newfound clarity and peace in his heart. Buddha smiled faintly and said, "When we embrace impermanence, we release the chains of suffering and find harmony in existence." Ananda bowed deeply before Buddha, thanking him for the wisdom that now resonated in his thoughts like ripples across still waters. The riverbank became a sanctuary for reflection. The disciples quiet, yet filled with the profound understanding Buddha had imparted. Buddha rose and said, "This truth will guide you. Life flows forward, like the river, and resisting its nature brings suffering." Ananda walked along the river, each step lighter, carrying Buddha's teachings as a treasure, grateful for the gift of impermanence. Another day, another moment of transformation. Buddha and his disciples continued their journey, seeking wisdom along life's ever-changing path. Another day, another moment of teaching. Buddha ascended Vulture Peak, where disciples awaited his wisdom to soothe their troubled minds. The mountain air was crisp, carrying with it the whispers of questions and desires lingering within the hearts of all. Present among the disciples was Kamala, a woman burdened by chronic pain, which had isolated her from her family and community. Kamala approached Buddha hesitantly, her eyes reflecting years of suffering and her longing for a way to endure her pain. "Master," Kamala began, bowing before Buddha, "this pain binds me. I feel trapped, disconnected, and alone in my suffering." Buddha observed Kamala's posture and offered her a gentle smile, his voice calm yet filled with empathy and profound care. "Kamala," Buddha said, "pain isolates when we allow it to close us off from the world. Connection reduces the weight of pain." The disciples listened attentively, their hearts opening to Buddha's words. Sensing the compassionate energy radiating from his teachings, Buddha continued, "Compassion is the balm for suffering. When shared, the burden of pain lightens, creating space for healing and connection." He recounted a story of a man carrying a heavy pot of water who offered sips to the thirsty he met. Each time he offered water, Buddha said, the pot grew lighter. Generosity and compassion ease suffering, both for giver and receiver. Kamala asked, "But, Master, how can I connect with others when my pain isolates me from feeling joy and engagement?" Buddha replied, "Kamala, begin with yourself. Pain thrives in the absence of self-compassion. Turn kindness inward to create harmony within. To heal outwardly, we must first cultivate inner peace. Let self-compassion be the foundation of the connections we create." Buddha guided Kamala and the disciples in a meditation on loving kindness, inviting them to focus their hearts on compassion and warmth. "Close your eyes," Buddha instructed. "Start by sending thoughts of goodwill to yourself. Acknowledge your pain, but do not judge it. Repeat silently, 'May I be free from suffering. May I find peace. May I experience love and kindness in abundance.'" Kamala followed Buddha's guidance, her breath slowing and her heart softening as compassion began to unfold within her mind and body. "Now extend these thoughts outward," Buddha continued, "to those you love, those who challenge you, and all beings suffering in silence. Feel the connection that exists between you and the world. Compassion creates bridges where isolation builds walls," Buddha gently reminded them. Kamala's breathing deepened as she envisioned sending kindness to her family, neighbors, and even strangers she had never encountered before. She felt the warmth of compassion spreading, breaking through the cold isolation caused by her pain, and tears gently fell from her eyes. "Compassion is a cycle," Buddha said. "What you offer returns to you, creating endless harmony. Pain fades when shared with others." The disciples meditated in unison, their hearts resonating with Buddha's teachings, their burdens becoming lighter as connection replaced isolation. Buddha smiled as he saw Kamala's face soften, her posture relax, and her spirit awaken to the healing power of compassion. "Pain is universal, Kamala. Suffering diminishes when we recognize our shared experience and offer love to all, without condition or expectation." Kamala opened her eyes, gazing at Buddha with gratitude, her isolation lifting as she felt herself connected to those around her. Buddha said, "Compassion is not limited to grand gestures. Small acts, a kind word or a simple smile, can touch lives deeply." Kamala bowed before Buddha, thanking him for his wisdom, her heart lighter and her mind clearer. As hope began to replace despair, the peak was quiet except for the sound of the wind, but the disciples felt the harmony of shared compassion within them. Another day, another moment of transformation. Buddha and his disciples descended the mountain, carrying the gift of compassion into the world. "Rahula," he said, Silence is not absence. It is the presence of awareness waiting to be heard by those who listen. Rahula nodded but felt his questions linger, the unease within him refusing to completely dissolve despite his master's wisdom. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.